Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, in the New Japan world, the G1 Climax is almost ending. However, as you know, the A block has already announced their top three competitors competing in the playoffs rounds. However, we still have the B block to figure out. So, we're going to be focusing only on the B block matches. And after that, we're going to be going through all the matches once the whole thing is started up. And then, of course, we move on with AEW Dynamite. As you probably noticed, we're almost 2 weeks away from All In. Battle lines have been drawn. We do have several matches taking place. We do have the AEW World Tag Team titles defended. The Acclaim will challenge for those belts against the Young Bucks, who hasn't defended those belts ever since they won them. And then, of course, we have plenty other things taking place. Mercedes Moné versus Sheeta for the TBS title, and plenty other things as well. But first things first, we have, of course, MARIGOLD. We continue with day 9 of the Summer Gold Shine. And, of course, we're not that far off. As you know, time is almost up for Guilia before she makes her way to WWE. And I guess this is going to lead to a prelude before her last match against her former disciple, Mai Sakurai. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with some news updates to keep you guys updated what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, what's booked, what matches are set, including some developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world. Pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates in case if certain information was not put on this episode. We can put it either on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We, of course, do the Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be gaining a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions are set aside. It's time to rock and roll. So let's begin with our very first review, and that is from MARIGOLD. Okay, MARIGOLD, day 9 of the Summer Gold Shine tour. This just recently took place on the 12th of August. Now, our opening match, we have Myla Grace versus our current Superfly champion Natsumi Shozuki. Now, of course, if Myla Grace pins Shozuki, there is a chance she could actually challenge for the Superfly belt. But however, Natsumi, who is determining to elevate the Superfly title, and of course, try to show the world what she makes. She had a very impressive match. Now, I'm not sure exactly what kind of move she applied. It looked more like the seatbelt type of move that Wheeler Yuta used, but I just called it a modified seatbelt because she didn't grab the leg or anything. But it was a very effective win for her to show what she's made of. So, Natsumi Shizuki picked up the win. Now, our next match, we have a battle between the female versions of David versus Goliath. We have BoZilla versus the rookie Kizuna Tanaka. Now, of course, you will probably say, well, if you guys are religious believers, you know the stories about David versus Goliath. You probably would say David will probably win since he did that. Well, not on this case because BoZilla, who is determined to show how strong she is, what capable she is, that's always been who she has been. I'm sure many of you would think watching BoZilla, tossing Kizuna around, but yes, she probably did. But she finished her off with a spike pile driver, and just like that, it was over. Next up, we have Minami teaming up with Victoria Yuzuki, taking on Twin Towers, consistent of Chika Goto and Kyukimori. Now, if you guys saw this, there was you know that Chika Goto has this a catchphrase she does after her introduction, and I think this is the second time she forgets to do it. But I thought, oh my god, how can she forget that? I mean, it was really, really, really kind of embarrassing, but at least she got it done. Now, I have to say the match was pretty okay, but the one thing I think it shows that I think Twin Tower hasn't forgotten the fact that Victoria Yuzuki and Kizuna Tanaka went into a time limit draw with them in that one match that I think it still haunts them. But it seems they kind of got a somewhat of a measure of revenge for that particular match. But it was, of course, Chika Goto with a choke slam on Minami to pick up the win. And then, of course, Chika Goto called out Victoria Yuzuki. I'm not sure if these two ladies will be in the opening rounds of the Dream Star Grand Prix because we know that both of them are in. So, which is obvious because we know that both of them won their opening round on that one. So, we'll see how that rolls up. Our next match, we have Mitsa Matsui teaming up with Miku Anu to take on Mirai and, of course, Utami Hayashishita. Now, I don't know what's the significance of this match, but however, I'm sure Miku Anu is determined to beat Mirai because we had that time limit draw matches we had. And I'm sure Miku Anu will love nothing more to become double champion if she takes away the tag belts. But however, it was Mitsuya Matsui who ended up on the wrong side of an awesome combo between Mirai's lariat and, of course, Utami Hayashishita's German suplex, allowing them to pick up the win. Now, our main event, we have a 6-woman tag match. We have Nao Ishikawa, Mai Sakurai, and Nanae Takahashi taking on Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, and Giulia. Now, this is a prelude for Giulia and Mai Sakurai before their match on August 19th in Korakuen Hall. So, as you know, Giulia said that she cannot afford to lose starting now, knowing too well that there were some matches that were a bit more like she couldn't fathom. For example, losing to Suri was one of them, and she cannot afford to lose these ones before she leaves. However, of course, there were going to be the chair in play by Chiaki and Nagisa, but however, it was Chiaki who picked up the win by pinning Nao Ishikawa. So, I'm sure many of us are pretty excited to see what is going to happen on the 19th between Giulia and Mai Sakurai, so we'll just have to wait and see. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for this. Let's move on with New Japan. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling. We are now. This is the last chance for who will be in the top 3 of the playoff matches for the G1. Now, those who know this or not, it's been foretold that Yuya Uemura has withdrawn from the tournament due to an injury he obtained, and because of that, he was supposed to face against Bolton Old Lake. So right now, as we speak, Bolton Old Lake received 2 more points, even though he's out of the tournament, but nonetheless, he does get those points. It's a sad shame that he did not finish the tournament in the right way, but I do hope that he does get a speedy recovery from this. Now, we're just gonna focus on the rest of the B blocks while he didn't get while that match was forfeited. Our first match, we have Hiroki Goto versus Hinare. So this is kind of like a somewhat now or never situation for Hiroki Goto. He has to win this match in order to proceed into the top 3. But you would think that Hinare would stop at nothing to keep him down as possible. We know Hinare had some very impressive matches, but it was the Street of Rage that made the deal to keep Goto at bay and keep him away from the top 3, and that's exactly what he did. So Hinare finishes with 8 points. Same thing with Hiroki Goto. Our next match, we have El Phantasmo versus David Finlay. Now, these two guys have no love lost for each other. If you guys remember clearly, last year, David Finlay kicked out El Phantasmo because El Phantasmo did not felt right with the way things were done with Jay White. Now, remember, of course, Dave Finlay attacked Jay White instead of letting him run in the sunset. So basically, even El Phantasmo tried to do was trying to start up a coup to overthrow David Finlay, but instead he got kicked out. So you would think in some capacity that El Phantasmo will get some measure of revenge. Now, he could have won this match if it wasn't for that snake, Geto, who pulled the ref aside in order to do that. Even Yato tried to deal with him, but unfortunately, David Finlay took this opportunity to get to finish him off, and then he applied the overkill. But however, because of this situation, David Finlay is now at the top of the block in the top 3. So basically, he's reached number 1. He gets a bye, and which is a very disturbing. But however, because of the situation, El Phantasmo did not have a good year at all. He accused Yato of pulling the ref, but Yato pleaded his case saying it wasn't him, that it was Geto. But I'm sure somehow he'll see that it wasn't Yato who did it. Our next match, we have Ren Narita versus Konosuke Takeshi. Now, the last time in the tag match, Ren Narita attacked Konosuke Takeshi by attacking his knee. This is his way to ensure he wins. However, effing House of Torture decided to drag him out, beat him up, as always, with their tactics, because they know this is a must-win situation in some capacity. Evil is already out. He has no chances. They would stop at nothing to get the IWGP World Heavyweight title in their grasp, which it's been their primary goal. But however, nothing stopped them. Even Dick tried to get involved, and then Evil showed up again. So basically, however, I like how Takeshita did everything right in order to fight back. And then, of course, he did wipe out both Evil and Dick out of the picture. However, he still had a contempt with Ren Narita, but it only took a fist to put him away. So basically, just like that, it was over. Takeshita gets his new points. He gets 10 points, and he makes the top 3. So, thank God. Nobody from the House of Morons made it. Yes, I'm calling the House of Torture morons because they are morons, because they think they're the good guys. Evil thinks he's the president. You know, he likes to bitch and complain about everything. Well, he's a total moron. He's a loser. That's what he thinks. That's what he is. But that settles it. Now, our main event. One of the most strongest, powerful matches. Yota Tsuji versus Jeff Cobb. Now, this is a must-win situation as well. So, basically, one of them has to win in order to proceed into the top 3. We had amazing strength from both men. You would ask yourself, how will it walk out? Now, I'm sure there are a lot of majority people will probably pay for Yota Tsuji to go. I mean, he is very, very impressive. And of course, he made a good impression on his return. And he did that when he applied the Gene Blaster, and just like that, it was over. Now, here's the top three that made it through for the playoffs of the tournament. David Finlay at number one, but he gets a bye. And then we got Shingo versus Yota Tsuji. So basically, I did a little research. It did say. So basically, for the A block, as I said before, Zack Sabre Jr. Gets a bye, but Shingo and Khan will be facing each other. In this situation, we have a similar. David Finlay will get a bye, but Yota Tsuji and Konosuke Takeshita will clash. So that's going to be interesting to watch. So hopefully we'll see that sooner, but right now we'll just end things as it is with New Japan and move on with AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite. We opened up with the TBS title. Now, this was a match that was called upon by Hikaru Shida, and of course, Tony Khan might have made it happen. So we had Mercedes Moné being accompanied by Camille, and of course, like always, we have always assumed that Camille would be interfering. That's exactly what was happening. Not to mention, of course, Shida would try to fight back, but it was not good enough. Um, Mercedes Moné applied the moneymaker, just allowing her to pick up the win. But however, I have to say what was interesting is when the match was over, Britt Baker showed up. Person in the Hood showed up, and we weren't sure if that was really Britt Baker, but it was Britt, and attacked Mercedes from behind. She even tried to apply the lockjaw. So basically, she always closed. But however, should Mercedes Moné be a little worried knowing this? I would say possibly. But we'll see what happens until then. Now, during an interview with Renee, she had a chat with Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. Now, of course, there was a lot of things that are going on, and one of those things is they're saying that Hangman is a thorn of their side. But however, no. Apparently, they feel that Hangman Page's judgment has been clouded. That judgment is his, of course, his straight and narrow towards Swerve. You know, that's always been clear. But however, while that they were discussing, Hangman showed up and, of course, attacked both men. And then he dragged Lethal into the ring since they were scheduled to have a match, which was brutal, bloody, whatever you want to call it. So that's exactly what happened. But Hangman Page walked out with the win in order to send a message. We do know that he does have his sights set on Swerve. That's always been clear. So it looks more like he is making sure that no one stands in his way. So we will see what happens until then. Now, as you know, we have the AEW American / international title being defended at All In. Well, Pac, on the other hand, did a video promo where he was not happy that somehow Will Ospreay cut in front of the line. However, he did state it since, well, you called your shot in Wembley, I called my shot. Whoever walks out of that match, I will challenge you for that title in Chicago, the same place where he beat Kenny Omega, which, of course, is well documented. So, we'll see how that goes. Now, ahead before his match, Darby Allin had a straight message towards Jack Perry and talked a little bit about him. And then when he was on his way to the ring, he was attacked by Jack Perry. He tried to end him. However, he decided, that he wants a coffin match at All In. So, if you guys remember last year, there was a coffin match between, of course, Christian Cage and Swerve, which was referenced a little later, a few months ago. So that's what happened. But, however, Jack Perry felt like he had no keen interest in defending the belt. He was willing to sacrifice, but it was, of course, Matt who made the decision for him. So it's more like he thinks that he's going to bury Darby Allin in this matter, but we will see. Now, ahead before his match, Darby Allin had a straight message towards Jack Perry and talked a little bit about him. And then when he was on his way to the ring, he was attacked by Jack Perry. He tried to end him. However, he decided, that he wants a coffin match at All In. So, if you guys remember last year, there was a coffin match between, of course, Christian Cage and Swerve, which was referenced a little later, Now, of course, Mariah May had a single message to Tony Storm and all this, saying that this is the end for her, that she will kill her, and all this other stuff. She is confident enough, but she did explain a very interesting point. Last year in All In, she did not win whatsoever. She did lost the AEW World Title to Saraya. So Mariah May knows this is a streak that will haunt her. So she thinks this is a perfect ending. Now, many people have questioned about this between Mariah May and Tony Storm. What does Mina Shirakawa think? Well, I did mention on a news update, she says she doesn't know what Mariah would think about her or what she will do to her. But Renee Paquette did have the encouragement to ask Mina what's going on, and she said that she hasn't spoken to either of them, or of what's going on. She doesn't understand what exactly is happening. She's what we saw with Mariah May, she was caught in Mariah May was caught in the middle between Tony Storm and Mina, but now we see Mina in that situation where now she's caught in the middle. So I mean, I feel bad for her that she has to watch this go down, but I'm sure she's not going to interfere. But there are those that probably say she probably will, if Mariah May wins the belt, Mina probably would challenge her. I don't know if that's something that would happen, but we'll keep those train of thought going on. Now, our next match is a number one spot of the Casino Gauntlet match that will take place. We have a three-way. We have Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly. So I think this is a very interesting match. Now, don't forget. Now, of course, Roderick Strong has some issues with both these men. Well, mostly with Orange, but Strong believes that Kyle O'Reilly would have been better off with him joining the Undisputed Kingdom. But O'Reilly had his own thing going on, and not to mention he's part of the conglomerate with Orange Cassidy. But however, you probably would think there was going to be some hellback between both O'Reilly and OC. Nope, none of that. But however, of course, Taven and Bennett showed up, but luckily Briscoe and Ishii showed up to clean up the trash. But it was, of course, a crucifix by Orange Cassidy that defeated O'Reilly, giving him the number one spot. So we'll see where that leads. Now, ahead of their match in Cardiff. Now, remember, they will be having their first international Dynamite, and of course, Claudio Castagnoli talked about how he felt it should have been him, but Okada gave his own words, saying that he will respect him as the champion. But of course, Claudio will show no respect to people like him. But he's feeling determined to win this match. Now, we did see another, of course, interview with the Patriarch. He's saying that he called it in the middle. He's saying that he's using this time as Trios champion to hopefully get back on the track for the AEW World Title, and of course that. But I have that suspicious feeling because we know that Kip Sabian will be facing Nick Wayne. But I'm sure that All In we will see a Trios title match because I'm sure Tony Khan is going to overturn it somehow. I don't know, but we will see. Now, Tony Schiavone was in the ring calling out Hook. As you know, Hook is still bandaged from the left eye after what Chris Jericho did. And of course, he said that he's going to end him once and for all. And then Jericho showed up, telling him that, that once he defeats him, he will not get another title shot. But next week, he said he will face against Big Bill. So there's that. But, however, Hook doesn't get unfazed for the threats. But we'll see. Now, our main event, of course, our next match is the AEW World Tag Team title. The Young Bucks versus the Acclaim. But the Acclaim played the smart game and attacked the Bucks before the bell even rung. I thought it was a smart move. But however, because of the usual cheating, the referee was knocked down. Matt was intending to use the AEW World title to knock him out and then all this out. But of course, out of nowhere, FTR showed up and stopped them. However, they lost their composure with Matt and all this, and this match resulted in a disqualification, costing the Acclaim their title match. Now, FTR tried to reason with them, but they weren't having it. However, Matt and Nick Jackson retained the belts out of disqualification. However, because of this situation, CD, Christopher Daniels, felt like this was not a definitive win whatsoever. So he decided, because there was the circumstances that now that the Acclaim lost, that makes FTR the number one contenders. But CD sees it differently. So he decided that next week we were going to, no, this coming Saturday on Collision, we were going to see the Acclaim versus FTR. Winner will walk out as the winners to go to Wembley Stadium. So we will see where that leads us from there. Now our main event, Wheeler Yuta versus Swerve Strickland. Now this is a little message that Swerve wants to send to Bryan Danielson. He wants him to retire and show the world that Bryan Danielson is no longer the best in the world. So basically that was the whole thing. But however, Swerve Strickland decided, to use a tactic to make sure that Yuta does not escape from his punches. The referee had no other choice but to stop. And of course, he refused to stop and got into the head of Bryan Danielson, and he told him that on All In that he wants his entire family to watch him as he destroys him once and for all and force him to retire. And then, of course, being the sly little prick that he is, he actually attacked him and did the house call. But of course, Bryan Danielson, during an exclusive interview, he was not happy with he felt like Swerve had no right to talk about his daughter. This is the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Hangman Page costs him that title match, to Swerve at All In. So that is something we could see, but that's only me talking. But as of right now, we will see what happened on Rampage and in Collision real soon. And after that, we are done. So let's move on with our last and final thing, news up. Okay, welcome to our news update. So let's begin by starting with the upcoming events. Now let's start with two things coming up from GCW. As you know, this coming Saturday we have the No Signal in the Hills in LA on the 17th. Another match has been announced. We have Starboy Charlie taking on Marcus Mathers. Now, for any of my subscribers who are natives of San Diego, California, well, you guys are in the good news. By the time this video is out, it's already happened, or those who still haven't heard, GCW is finally coming to San Diego, and this will land on October 31st, Halloween. Now, I already told several of my friends. One friend is not too keen on the idea of having, of course, for GCW to have their show on the 31st, but I'm willing to see what's happened. Now, I know some of you are thinking, J-Rod, since you are a native of San Diego, are there any chances of you going? Well, let's see how the ticket prices are. I need to find out because it needs to be in my budget, But anyway, we haven't announced they haven't announced where the venue is gonna be, or of course, who's gonna be participating. That's the thing we still don't know. So as the following months, we will go little by little. Hopefully, that's what we get. But if I do get a chance to go, this will definitely be part of the DWZ at the wrestling events, one of our other things that we do here on this channel. So we'll just wait and see how it happens once more info has come around. Now, RevPro, for their 12th anniversary, it was announced that on the 24th of August, Donovan Dijakovic, or as we know him, Dijak, or Dominic Dijakovic, will be in action to take on the loudmouth prick of the Bullet Club War Dogs, Gabe Kidd. So this is going to be a brutal match. No doubt about it. Now, P.P.P. Tokyo, for the upcoming event on the 10th, Splash Carnival, they announced that Draw K will be in action to take on Marika Kobashi, which is interesting. Those who know this or not, both these competitors were part of Tokyo Pro. Draw K left a few years ago, and during her re-debut, she teams up with Marika Kobashi, and I thought it was very interesting, fitting for them now to be opponents. So I'm kind of curious about that. And then finally, West Coast Pro, for the thing that should not be, on the 11th of October. Our current West Coast Pro Women's World Champion, Takumi Iroha will be there as well. Now, last time she was supposed to be there, but due to some circumstances, she's been unable to. But now, hopefully, she can. So we'll see where that leads us from there. Now let's jump into some developments. Those who know, I mentioned countless time about Julia's last match on August 19th. MARIGOLD has announced that there will be some streamers for Julia's last match. I'm sure she's going to have an epic streamer throw on her, so can't wait to see it. Damon Kemp was on Fightful Select. As you all know, it was very surprising that WWE let him go. But he did say that, um, if they would offer, he would accept WWE offer to return. There are no hard feelings. So basically, he's not upset with the fact they let him go, but he would take the opportunity if that's the case. So we'll see how that goes. Now, many of you may have heard this or not. It appears that Michael Oku and his fiancee Amira are on the verge of signing with AEW. So it's not 100% saying that they are, but they're now in talks about that. Now, there's a lot of people that are been giving a lot of controversy. Some people are saying that WWE are spending way too much money on having Michael Oku to sign. There was a talk about this last year after Michael Oku defeated Will Ospreay, that there's a chance that WWE signed him. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I mean, Michael Oku is like, to me, like a real success story. He was the wrestler that worked from the bottom all the way to the top, and that's exactly what he did. So I don't see any wrong with it, but of course we have those haters looking around. But we'll see where that goes. Now, many of you may have heard this good news. Um, as you know, recently AEW will be doing All In Wembley Stadium. Well, it just announced it in 2025. They'll be making their way to Australia. That's right. It was announced that there's been about having a show there in 2025. Let me pull up a bit of the information on this one. Here it is. According to what they're saying from Sports News, that there's a lineup stadium show in 2025, and this is what it was said. It's understood plans for a company's maiden Australian show are well advanced, with sources confirming AEW Power Brokers have been scouting venues along the Australian East Coast. There's Sydney Alliance Stadium, Melbourne's Marvel Stadium, Brisbane Suncorp Stadium, with entertainment company TEG understood to backing the event. So basically, they got some backers, but the real question, which is the perfect venue? I don't know. I don't think it matters, but there are those who think that AEW will not sell out seats on this one. Well, and of course, we haven't forgotten about what happened at Wembley Stadium last year, where some douchebags were trying to say that the attendance was wrong. Well, whoever he is, I hope he gets fired. Now, finally, Nanae Takahashi recently, as you all may or may know, Arisa Nakajima is retiring, and she called her out about having a match against her. It seems like it's going to happen, but what does Nakajima respond to it? This is what she says. Nanae Takahashi is trying to make things look nice by saying all sorts of things, but I have no such feeling at all. I have no intentions of making any memories on that day before you start babbling and saying all sorts of nice things. You should get yourself in a good health and prepare yourself. So basically, Nakajima's like not taking this, like saying, enough with this talk about me. You talk too much. So we'll see how that goes. And I think they want Nanae wants this match to happen exactly on the same day as Julia's final match. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully they do announce it. I will be on top of that soon enough. But as of right now, let's just end things and call it a day. Okay, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. As you know, when it comes to Thursday, we do ROH and TNA. However, there is the possibility we will do, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling. I did look up recently where, of course, the two matches involving, of course, the playoff games, kind of like the quarterfinals or whatever they call it, will be taking place. So we're gonna go from all of it, including not just those two matches, but just everything else. So that way the story fits in perfectly well. Of course, Stardom will continue with Cork and Hall. I'm I'm kind of anxious to see how the matches are going. Um, we'll see about that. But until then, that's the plan. So we'll see how everything rolls up. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.